Command codes verified. Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
Hello, Captains, and welcome to the live broadcast recording of episode 529 of Priority 1, a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast. We already have a really active group in the chat tonight. I'm so glad to see everybody with us. Josh, Brent, Samantha, Pi. How is everybody doing? We hope you're having a good Tuesday evening. And if you were hit by the nor'easter, we hope that you weren't flooded here in the Northeast, because that's where nor'easters happen, in the Northeast United States. How was your island adventure, Roscoe?
Oh, my God. Okay, so for the past week, basically, after we finished recording here, the next day, I got on a barge and cruised across the water and went to a place called Gari. It's that's the traditional owner's name, and the name that they're working on changing it back to. It's Fraser Island. It's in Queensland, and it's the largest sand island in the world, and it is amazing. So hence the tropical shirt today, and just spent about 5 days catching up with friends, visiting amazing idyllic locations with some of the purest water you've ever seen and swum in your life. It was epic, absolutely epic, and I can highly recommend. If you're in Australia, come and visit Gari. If you're an international visitor and once you finally can come back to Australia, put it on your list. You'll never see anything like it in your life. It was amazing.
Yeah, I am envious of you that you're now moving into the summer months, while we are gearing up for...
You get hammered with a northeasterly, yeah.
Yeah, well, we get hammered with a nor'easter, so I'm a little jealous.
Yeah.
But no Kat tonight. She had to take the week off, but she'll be back next week, and we're going to go ahead and keep on keeping on here. You ready?
Yes. Let's make some radio.
Podcasting. All right. Gonna hit that button.
Oh, big button. Countdown. Here we go.
3.
Good luck, everyone. Good luck.
You do the cold open.
Mm-hmm. This week on episode 529 of Priority 1, we power up for Star Trek Prodigy with the cast and crew. I knew I was going to mess this up. I wrote it and I'm going to mess it up. All right, let's try this sucker again. This week on episode 529 of Priority 1, we power up for Star Trek Prodigy with the cast and crew promotion peaking as the premiere prepares to play. Plus, we get some more details on the explosive new additions to Star Trek Online.
Some good alliteration there.
Why, thank you.
Hello, Captains. You're listening to episode 529 of Priority 1, a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast. Your weekly recap and review of all the major news happening in the Star Trek multiverse. This episode was recorded on Tuesday, October 26th, and available for download or streaming on Friday, October 29th at PriorityOnePodcast.com. I'm Elio.
And I'm Roscoe.
Unfortunately, Kat had to take the week off, but she'll be back next week. As a matter of fact, she'll be with me on Saturday when we go online with Star Trek. When we go online and play Star Trek Online. Give me a second here.
So you're going online to play Star Trek Online. Are you doing that online?
I'm working on that. I'm working on it.
Hey, George. Cat's away this week.
All right. Well, unfortunately, Kat had to take the week off, but she'll be joining me on Saturday when we play Star Trek Online with a very special guest, Noah Averbach-Katz, who you know as the Andorian on Star Trek Discovery Season 3. So we're really excited for that. He'll be joining us on Saturday afternoon. Be sure to follow our social media channels for the announcement. And if you're listening to this podcast, we'll be sure to. And if you're listening to this podcast and want to catch that, we'll be sure to include some highlights on our next episode, or you'll find it online at our YouTube channel.
That is so exciting. I'm sorry I can't make that, but that is so exciting.
Yeah, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to have him on the show. He has been live streaming his playthroughs of Star Trek Online. I had the opportunity of chatting with him a little bit at the Sci-Fi Summit in New Jersey about a month or so ago. And an amazingly pleasant and welcoming individual, great human. And I'm really excited to get to know him a little better. So, yeah, be sure to...
Is it weird having a conversation with him and trying to recognize him and sort of merge the character versus the actor and having that as one idea when you meet him, he's not blue?
It was very easy for me to differentiate. It was I didn't get confused. I didn't think I was speaking to an Andorian.
No, I get that, but you see him on screen, so that's where you recognize them. And I guess for any actors who are like heavy into the prosthetic makeup, it's like whenever you hear an actor who does a lot of voice work and you see their actual face, it just takes a moment to recognize that and go, oh, okay, this sounds weird to see Dan Castellaneta sounding like Homer. But he's being himself.
Well, you know? I'll tell you what my biggest takeaway was, getting the opportunity to meet some of these actors and, see them up close, is how freaking tall so many of them are. Noah he's got to be clear 6 feet, at least 6 feet. And so, yeah, it's interesting. It makes me think to myself, well, damn, I guess I could never be a film actor. I'm only 5'10". So, but yeah, other than that, he was, super, super excited to come on the show and talk about his experience playing Star Trek Online and his passion for Trek. And I can't wait to dive into that conversation. So that's happening on Saturday, October 30th I think I have 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. Eastern. We'll be doing it for about an hour, and we'll play some games while we do a bit of an inside the actor studio with him while he's playing Star Trek Online.
Very much looking forward to that. And look, before we jump into the news as well, we want to welcome new listeners to the show, and we hope you'll stay in touch because this show is produced by a community of volunteers who donate their time and their talents because, like you, they're passionate about what Star Trek is all about. What are you doing?
I got a bit of an alfalfa look going on here. I took a shower when I got home from work because I got drenched taking mass transit today, and I was like, I don't feel like combing my hair again tonight.
But
So
you were coming on the stream, and here you are. You're not prepared.
I'm prepared.
Okay.
I combed it.
What kind of
I
a
combed
community?
It forward. I combed it forward.
What kind of a community production? Okay, community theater production is this where you have turned up and you have not done your makeup and you have not done your own hair.
Roscoe, I'm wearing pants. Be grateful for that, okay?
Fine. All right. So I'm going to roll these next 2 lines. I'm going to start again, jump back, and roll these next 2 paragraphs into one to make editing easier for our awesome audio editors who do an amazing job. So if you want to volunteer because you can edit audio, please get in touch. So before we jump into the news, we want to welcome new listeners to the show, and we hope you'll stay in touch because this show is produced by a community of volunteers who donate their time and their talents because, like you, they are passionate about what Star Trek is all about. So we hope you'll get involved and be a part of our community. You can follow us on social media so you can share your thoughts about the weekly headlines, join the Armada so you can experience Star Trek gaming with like-minded Trekkies, or consider joining the team and lending your skills and your passion to producing this show.
It's my real hair, Jamal. I don't have a toupee. Oh, you read both paragraphs?
I read both paragraphs, so you could read the next 2.
Great. Now, Captains, as Roscoe already explained, we are a community-driven show. This podcast is produced much like one would a community theater group. We are all just dedicated Trekkies with a passion for the franchise. Unfortunately, running a podcast isn't entirely free, and there are some expenses associated with it. So, if you happen to find value in this production and would like to continue to see us produce the show every week and improve upon it, we encourage you to check us out over at Patreon. It's a website that allows you to support content creators like us. And we offer
content.
What?
We offer content. We're content creators. We offer content.
And we offer some perks for those of you that decide to join our Patreon family. So if you're interested, visit us over at patreon.com/priority1.
Right now, let's find out what's been happening in the Star Trek multiverse.
All right, that ended at 8:40, please.
8:40.
Which Anchorman? Is it after the brawl? Do I look like after the brawl here? That escalated quickly.
Mm-hmm. Jamal, I think we should put in a new tier on Patreon. That if you would like this perk at the appropriate level, then Elio will gel up his hair and go faux hawk for an entire live stream.
It does. If I put pomade in it, it will go straight up. Fine, guys. I'm going to go put on a hat because you're making me self-conscious.
Look what you did. Poor guy. I mean, he looked good before. He was a bit forward, but well done, Jamal. Well done, Jamal. Ken from Chicago. Hello. Hope you're well. There we go. What a hat. What a hat to bring to the party. Oh, yeah, you're down with the kids. Look at that flat-brimmed
You know
monstrosity.
what's gonna happen now? I'm gonna hit the microphone. Can't even. You know what? Now I'm taking off my pants. Excuse me.
No! Keep it professional, man. Come on.
All right.
All right, what are we doing? We're doing Trek It Out. And boy, oh boy, let me tell you, there's lots of things to trek out.
There is indeed. I have a very big head, and I have to always put it on like the last.
So you're a smaller man with a big head.
I got made fun of a lot growing up. All right.
I'm sorry to hear that.
That's all right. I was bullied. But tonight's not about me.
No. It is right now. Later, no.
All right. Trek it out at 11 even. 11 even. 3, 2.
Roger.
This week, the Star Trek universe welcomes a brand new adventure to our screens. This week, the Star Trek universe welcomes a brand new adventure to our screens, with Star Trek Prodigy to make its debut on Paramount Plus on October 28th. A few sneak peeks have been filtering through, with Prodigy teasers tempting new fans during NFL Sunday Football. In the first clip, Dal can be seen making his escape from the mining facility in dramatic fashion. You see, I can't because I keep hitting the microphone.
Put it on backwards, man. Keep it straight.
I keep bumping the mic. Is that better? All right.
Yes.
In the second clip, we are treated to the protostar powering up with characters. In the second clip, we are treated to the protostar powering up with characters Dal and Rock Tak, finally being able to converse thanks to the Universal Translator. Both scenes are fun and exciting, with the standout being the effort that has gone into the musical score, which helps it feel very much at home in the Star Trek universe. I'll read this next statement and then why don't you take over? The folks at Gizmodo felt that tiny moment highlighted some. The folks over at Gizmodo felt that tiny moment highlighted something special about the Star Trek franchise: the ability for everyone to communicate freely, as well as not judging a book by its hulky, rock-encrusted cover.
The Prodigy executive producers and co-creators Kevin and Dan Hageman and executive producer and director Ben Hibben spoke with TrekMovie.com about the challenges around finding that entry point into the Star Trek multiverse, with Dan Hageman saying, quote, "We never really view it as a kid's show. We view it as a show for people who don't know Star Trek, which could be young or old. And so we always had that perspective of the outsider, and that freed us up. We wanted to keep the stakes real for an older audience. We never want to dumb things down for kids. Kids are really smart. They may have a learning curve in the show, but they'll get there," end quote. The creators go on to talk about how there was never any other option for the training hologram. It was always Captain Janeway from the start. They also mention she may not be the only hologram we see, and hint at real characters like Captain Chakotay making an appearance, but not as holograms.
As for Captain Janeway herself, Kate Mulgrew has also been on the interview circuit, explaining to CinemaBlend.com if the character was going to appear on screen, then it was always going to be her who would play the role. Quote, well, I certainly needed to...
No, you're not allowed. No, you can't do that, because if it was going to be a Janeway impersonator, she'll come at you.
Quote, well, I certainly need to come back to this character if threatened with an imitation. Quote, well, I certainly needed to come back to this character if threatened with an imitation. I think that only I can voice this character, and only I should, because I'm the one who knows who she is. I think that the young people would recognize that very quickly. That might be arrogance on my part, but I don't think so. I think they have a very discerning imagination, End quote. Mulgrew says she hasn't ever been approached about reprising her role as Catherine Janeway in a live action, outside of Star Trek Nemesis, of course. Okay, I see. I think I want to add in a live action series. Mulgrew says she hasn't been approached about reprising her role as Catherine Janeway in a live action series, outside of Star Trek Nemesis, of course. According to the actor, hologram Janeway won't be as fiery as her living counterpart, as she's helping a ship of children navigate the cosmos.
Do you want me to take the next bit?
Is this a quote? Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead, take the next bit.
All right. The caring side of Janeway was echoed by the cast and crew at New York Comic-Con in an interview with Gizmodo. COVID-19 restrictions meant the cast was unable to record together, so for Brett Gray, who plays the role of Dahl, finally getting together with Mulgrew was something else. Quote, I got to sit next to her today at Comic-Con, and it's palpable. There's a majesty that she has, and you can feel it when we announced she was coming out today. Just to walk on stage for the panel was like the audience was deafening. She is an icon, and so I feel very lucky that the first iteration of Star Trek we get to be a part of has someone like that we get to model and watch. People who are incredible fans of Janeway and all of that get to now have a way into our show too and see what it's like for people who know nothing. End quote. For the final word on the series, Kate Mulgrew spoke about now being the perfect time to bring in a brand new audience. Quote, it is an important time for Voyager. It's an important time for Star Trek. I think in terms of pop cultural history, now is the time to target this young demographic and introduce them to the wonderful mysteries of Star Trek and Gene Roddenberry's splendid philosophy. End quote. Links to all the interviews and clips can be found in our show notes.
Thanks, George. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm excited for the premiere of Prodigy. I believe that this, although it's a kid's show, I believe that this is going to have quite a bit of heart to it. The heart that really makes some of the best Star Trek ever, really.
All the clips that I've seen, they just come across as very endearing. And that moment, that clip that you mentioned where the protostar powers up, Rock Talk finally hits the big button and the ship comes to life and they can finally understand each other. There's some real heart there. There's some genuine emotions. And the score, for me, just stands out across both of those clips, those little moments that we've seen. The music really sells it in that power-up moment of the protostar, where there's little hints to the Voyager theme, but it's still its own creation and it's its own thing. Mm-hmm. So it starts with Voyager, but then it builds off into something else, but it still feels very much like Star Trek. And it genuinely gave me goosebumps. I love a good power up noise and score. And this really delivered. So I'm really hoping for something special, and I think we're going to get it. It's the right time for something like this.
Yeah, George in the chat brings up shows like Clone Wars, right, which was a kid's show, but has had a following throughout the ages, right? Through, no matter how old you are, people have been enjoying Clone Wars. And then the latest series that came out on Disney Plus that follows that, like, is after Clone Wars, the
Bad Batch.
The Bad Batch, right. So there's definitely a space to make animated shows that are geared for something like Nickelodeon or for children while still being able to entertain parents, right? It's not, it doesn't necessarily always have to be Little Einstein or whatever, cartoons it is that infants watch. So I'm excited for this. I believe that from what we've seen, the goal is to give it heart, and I like that.
Yeah, they've put a lot of. They started off in a very good place with the central idea, and then have built off of that. So they also mentioned, the showrunners also mentioned in one of the interviews that they start with Voyager as sort of their touchstone. That's one of their entry points and their reference points. But there are a lot of other Star Trek properties that they will touch on. So there's a lot of other TV series that they will draw from. So it may not be just Voyager that is referenced. It could be one of those Mike McMahon things where Mike suggested that in order to prepare for Lower Decks, you simply watch all of Star Trek. So might have to do that again. Might have to do a bit of a rewatch between now and then if you can squeeze it in. Good luck.
And I stand corrected. Jamal in the chat corrected me that Bad Batch follows Rebels, not Clone Wars. But anyway, this is a Star Trek show, so let's talk about some Star Trek.
In the timeline, it goes Star Wars, Clone Wars, which then leads directly into the Bad Batch. Then there's Star Trek Rebels. That's in timeline order. Rebels. Star Wars Rebels. Gosh, this is why. This is why we just stick to the one.
All right. Anyway, back to Star Trek. We knew that Brent Spiner would be returning for Picard Season 2 for some time now. You may have thought it would be as Alton Inigo Sybok or Soong. It's Soong. Who was... Okay. I didn't deliver that joke.
You could do better.
I could do better. All right, back to Star Trek. This is a Star Trek podcast, and with that, we knew. Shit! I had a great segue, and now I don't know what it is.
Perfect segue. I loved it. I loved it. I love what you're doing. I'm loving the hair. Everything's great.
Let's see if our editor can fix this up. You may have thought it would be as Alton Inigo Sybok. I mean, Soong. He's a Soong. Give me a second. I'll fix this.
Hold, please. So, yes, it was Star Wars, Clone Wars.
No, you can't do that.
Then that leads directly into Bad Batch. And the transit, like the first episode, the pilot episode of Bad Batch, so good.
I mean, Soong, who was apparently just out of frame in every TNG scene with Data's parents. After all, Data was really, truly, 100% for sure dead when the curtain dropped on Season 1. Well, that's not the case, according to Inverse Magazine. Spiner's role as Alton, that is, Data's still dead. According to interviewer Ryden Britt, Spiner, quote, knows they haven't revealed much about me being in the show. I can tell you, I'm a member of the Soong family. And I'm not playing a character I've ever played before. End quote. Given season 2's central temporal shenanigans, it seems likely that Spiner will play a 21st century Soong ancestor. However, if you consider Data and his siblings to be Soong family members, then Spiner might be temporarily displaced. However, if you consider Data and his siblings to be Soong family members, then Spiner might be a temporarily displaced android instead. It's definitely not Data, though. At least he... Oh, I see what you did there. It's definitely not Data. It's definitely not Data, at least. He's still dead.
I like the idea that Brent Spiner could be just messing with us slightly because he may have done that in the past. And he said, I can tell you I'm a member of the Sung family and I'm not playing a character I've ever played before. So, end of season 1 of Picard, they were talking about the Golem and Alton getting into the Golem because, he's getting on. And then, of course, they put Captain Picard into the Golem. Oh, yeah, by the way, spoilers. So could they have made another Golem? He finally got around to getting that second Golem done, pops himself into the Golem, so he's a different version of Alton Inigo Sung. He's an alternate Alton Inigo Sung.
I have no idea. You know what? Have fun. Have fun speculating about season 2 of Picard because I'm more excited for Prodigy than I am for Picard.
Right now, because Prodigy's here.
No, it's not even that, man. It's not
Picard
even
is
that.
soon. Later.
Just a few moments ago, we were talking about Heart, right? That exciting adventure that also explores humanity and the concepts of morality and does its best to shine a mirror on current events while still being entertaining. I didn't feel that in season 1 of Picard, and I walked away going nah.
Okay, so
Discovery,
I understand. You've got faith of the heart.
I lack faith of the heart. I lack faith of the heart.
Will take me
for Star Trek.
You've got faith to believe that you can do anything.
I know. I don't.
You've
have
got
that kind
strength.
Of faith. I have none
of the soul.
Things. None of those things.
No one's gonna bend or break you.
I have been.
You can reach
broken
any star. I've got faith. Faith of the heart. Couldn't help it. I'm glad I went there. Moving on.
Jamal goes mute.
Yep, that's fair. Oh, Jamal. Moving on. The third season of The Movies That Made Us has dropped on Netflix, and its creator, Brian Volk Weiss, from the Nacelle Company, spoke with comicbook.com about the possibility of a superhero-focused future episode, as well as some tasty Trek nuggets. You might be thinking the ideal movies to cover in this documentary style would be 1989's Batman or Christopher Reeve's first Superman movie. According to Volk Weiss, he actually would go a little more modern and cover 2008's Iron Man. Quote, it would be Iron Man because Iron Man is the most important, because if Iron Man had failed, nothing else would have happened. And also, I like that story of not just seeing a movie come together, but a universe come together, end quote. Pardon me. As for those Trek nuggets, surely for the Nacelle Company, a film like Wrath of Khan would be on their censors for a future episode. Volk Weiss confirms there was discussion, but in the end it came down to covering all 4 quadrants of storytelling. Quote, but usually we want 4-quadrant movies. And what that means is, for anyone who doesn't know, it's young people, old people, men, women, everybody. And that's what we try to do. And also multi-generational. My generation grew up with Home Alone, and the 2 generations afterward, including my children, they like Home Alone as much as I do, if not more. So that's what we try to do. End quote. So no real word on Wrath of Khan in the future, but you never quite know.
Well, while we're on the topic of the Nacelle Company, last week we covered their upcoming documentary on the History Channel titled The Center Seat. And although we did not yet know the release date as of last week, well, we know it now. It's set to premiere on November 5th, 2021. It's set to premiere on November 5th, 2021.
Well, Captains, that's all the news we have to trek out this week. Now, let's find out what's been happening in the world of Star Trek gaming.
3008, please.
3008. Roger that. Contract for a singing waiter? Dave, come on. Surely I'm not the singing waiter type. I'm more of your singing telegram.
You see, if so Josh, talks about, his order of excitement. If Strange New Worlds can capture the heart that was in the episode New Eden, if they can do that consistently, I will be very happy with Strange New Worlds. If they can,
yeah, that was Pike's moment where we found out everything about that character in that episode, and right there with you.
If they can capture that, then, and that's what I had been hoping for example, Discovery Season 3, right? Like, oh wow, that episode but it didn't. Like, it just, Discovery and Picard have disappointed me, and Lower Decks had its moments of greatness, and those were good, and they were much more consistent than, I would say, than Discovery or Picard. So
Lower Decks, for me, that second season was on an upward trajectory towards the end of the season. Each episode just got better and better and better, and it just went all the way to the top every single time. And every week I would see comments from the Trek community going, "This is my new favorite episode," and that was consistent every single week. So yeah, Lower Decks, just that second season was just out of this world.
As we talk about it, I'm kind of it's a shame that this won't make it into any of the final shows, but this is why you listen live. I wonder,
and for the swearing.
I wonder if McMahon is struggling with Lower Decks with respect to tying in plots, like making it a little bit serialized, because Rick and Morty is notorious for not giving a shit about serialized storytelling, right? That and I would argue almost that Dan Harmon and the other guy,
Justin
Roiland, have had to yield a bit to fan demand for there to be a bit more of a canon to Rick and Morty, whereas you could tell they don't give a shit about it, right? They don't care to have it. Like, every episode could be a universe in and of itself. And so I wonder if McMahon struggled with that, coming out of Rick and Morty and starting to develop his own Star Trek series. I wonder if he
singular timeline, one singular universe.
Right. Well, not even so much that, but that, did he want to make it a serial, episodic with a memory, or if he kind of fought internally with himself, not fighting with other people, but in conceptualizing Lower Decks, in treating it the way Rick and Morty treats their episodes and plots, where there's a little gnat in here, and it's driving me crazy. God damn it.
It's trying to make a nest in your hair.
No, it's not. It's that I'm speaking, and the carbon dioxide is... I got a lot of hot air. Yeah, I wonder if he struggled internally, conceptually, putting together Lower Decks, if it was like, all right, well, every episode is just going to be a silo in and of itself. And I kind of think he did struggle with it a little bit, because if you look at the Pac-Led story, and I remember talking about this when we did our on-screen review, the Pac-Led connections were kind of loose throughout season 2, right? There was I don't know anything about sewing, but it wasn't a keystone in the storytelling, right? It was almost an afterthought, and they were only brought in when it needed to happen.
Oh, I don't know about the word afterthought. I think it was a thread, to use your sewing analogy. It was a thread the whole way through, and sometimes it was a little bit more pronounced than others, but it was there, and it was consistent. So it's more than likely that they had they just planned out that arc over the course of the season, rather than just going, okay, we're going to have the Pakleds turn up and say red alarm in this episode. No, we're going to weave this thread and build this over the course of the season, because that's when it makes sense to go to Pakled Planet, because that then sets up for the finale. And just little threads like that. It's what was it, a Veruvian bomb or something like that, a big explosion. Yeah, it's there the whole way through. So I think he did a good job of that. I was thinking about Lower Decks today, while I was going through and putting everything together for the podcast, and I was just checking the details of Alton Inigo Sung and that character, and it referenced that the attack on Mars was in 2385, and so Lower Decks is set in the 2380s. So at some point in that series' future, they're going to have to come together with that moment, that event. At some point, that's going to happen in Lower Decks, possibly. We'll have to wait and see. So that's just a keystone event, if you will, in the timeline that will get explored potentially through Lower Decks.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe it was the Pakleds.
It could have been the Pakleds.
Maybe they'll retcon and make it the Pakleds who got the androids.
All right, let's do...
Shall we do some gaming news?
Let's do some gaming news. About 37...
All right.
3710. 3710.
37.
3, 2. First introduced with 2018's Pop Culture Hero Coalition bundle, the Mirror Guardian brought sinister flavor to an otherwise unremarkable Tier 6 cruiser. Other than replacing the Lieutenant Engineering Intel with a Lieutenant Engineering Command Bridge chair, the Mirror Guardian looked to be the same as its prime counterpart. Once the bundle sold out, that was it. The Mirror Guardian was never seen again. Until now, that is, with Star Trek Online taking a good hard look in the Mirror universe. It's the perfect time for this one-and-done vessel to stage its comeback. Rather than setting course for the Phoenix Prize Pack or Mudd's Market, Cryptic was all set to sell the Mirror Guardian cruiser for the standard 3,000 Zen in the Zen store instead. As part of the re-release, the Prime and Mirror Guardian models were remastered to the current level of fidelity, like we've seen for a good number of ships by now. Did I skip a line?
No, you were good. Let's just break it up a little.
All right. Player, why don't you actually, let's break it up and you read it.
Okay. Players who already own the Mirror Guardian will receive these updates for free. Just ready your cruiser. Visit the ship customization interface and apply a preset.
Interface.
Both
interfaced.
Interfaced. Customization interfaced. It's into your faced. Okay. That's all I got. Let's see. Players who already own the Mirror Guardian will receive these updates for free. Just ready your cruiser. Visit the ship customization interface and apply a preset. Both Type 1 and Type 2 hull models will be available, along with the legendary Federation Starship materials. Now, normally, we'd remind you to track out the link in our show notes at this point, but we won't, because you can't. On October 25, Cryptic tweeted that, quote, the release of the Mirror Guardian in the Zen store has been delayed until December on all platforms, end quote. And they're, quote, taking down the blog and any past references to it, end quote. We can only guess what kind of skullduggery and intrigue is behind the delay because, I mean, it's the mirror universe. There's got to be intrigue. Do you have the Guardian Cruiser, Elio?
I'm pretty sure I got the bundle. I don't fly it, but I'm pretty sure I got it. You know what, actually, speaking of bundles, because there's no real point in talking about this, right? I mean, as always, Thomas and his team are great at, revamping these ships and breathing some new life to them. And
it looks beautiful.
It looks beautiful.
Great.
It certainly looks beautiful. So we hope to, have a better look at them when we get them in the game later this year. But while we're on the topic of price packs and whatnot, I did try to get my hands on that Kirk battlecruiser. I opened up. I got a pack of keys for the R&D pack bundle thing, and opened 4 and didn't get any, and that was about as much as I was willing to spend on it for just one pack. I saw online on Twitter, Luke Critter said he spent $400 on keys and did not get the Kirk.
Wow. That's a lot of resources.
That's a lot of resources. That's a lot of crafting material that what are you going to do with, Luke Critter? Yeah, Zeph in the chat says spent $50 and gave up.
And went for it.
And gave up. I just, I regret the purchase. I regret spending the money on those keys. Sure, I got, 10 Lobby per box, but I very seldom find that I need something from the Lobby store.
What about all the new Lower Decks content that's in the Lobby store?
I got the hand cannon that Shax has, and that's all that interests me. I'm not much I'm not much for aesthetic things, cosmetic things. I don't really, need any of the costumes or whatnot. I like my experience to be kind of classic, right? Classic Trek. In so many ways. I fly the Arbiter, but I don't really add too much Space Barbie to it. I don't do much Space Barbie with it. But I still have a hard time wrapping my head around why they put ships in these R&D packs, because you can't do anything. What do you do with these R&D materials? What do you do with them?
And look, maybe that's a question we should ask in a future developer chat or a conversation with Al Rivera, is going, okay, and I'm sure it's in the works. Al's long talked about the R&D being upgraded and modified and changed and further developed. But it's a good question, and I think it's one that maybe the community has an answer for, is what do you do with all of those resources when you are at your end game stage where you've got the loadout you want, everything is going quite well? What do you do with it? So I'd love to hear some tips and some advice, because it's a genuine thing.
I can see R&D being valuable for kind of min-maxers. You can create those upgrade tokens, the upgrade what are they called? I guess they're upgrade tokens. Where, for like upgrade weekend, it ups the they're not experimental. Shit, what the hell are they called? You can craft them in the tech upgrades, right? They're tech upgrades.
Yeah.
I can see R&D being useful for min-maxers, right? The top, 15, 10, 5% of players that are always looking to have the most elite gear, because you can craft tech upgrades. But
then again, have the Phoenix prize pack and that becoming available in the Dilithium store, has that sort of nixed?
Right.
Has that completely shut down the idea of crafting tech upgrades? Why should I do that when I can just go and get a Phoenix prize pack?
Right. In theory. I mean, then again, but you are spending the Dilithium, whereas it's, I guess, quote unquote, easier to get R&D materials. through salvage and whatnot. But beyond that, I don't play as a min-maxer, and usually I don't change my loadout, any of my loadout, unless something incredibly meta hits the game, right? And that's few and far between over the last several years, that it's like, oh, you need this brand, you need the new hotness in order for you to cut like a hot knife through butter. So yeah, I am, I just don't understand why they keep putting ships in R&D packs. I don't get it. I don't care how much lobby you give. Nobody's using R&D materials because there's nothing to craft in the game.
And look, the last time I probably used R&D materials was to craft some tier 2 weapons to replace what I had borrowed in the fleet bank, because I had got some out of the fleet bank for a new character. So I went through with one of my higher level characters and replaced it, because that just seemed like the thing to do as a courtesy. It was there when I needed it, but then I could later go through, craft it, and replace what I had taken. So yeah, that was probably the last time I used that. But then again, I'm not making a new character every other day. I'm maxed out. I'm good. I'm at a good level. It's manageable anymore, and I would start to lose my mind. So yeah, I'd love there to be more options for R&D to make it more engaging and more useful in the game. Yeah, I think that would be good, but a genuine hard look at what point does this serve in the game right now is a worthwhile conversation.
Casual SAB in the chat says the only modern benefit to the R&D system is a handful of level 15 traits. I haven't even looked at the traits in R&D. Maybe I'll take a look to see. They mentioned particle manipulator is the biggest one from the level 15 science R&D. So maybe I'll give that a shot. But for me, if I craft it, it's one and done, and then I have no reason to go back into the crafting system. So, there's I take breaks from I take a lot of breaks from the game, right? And then I feel like I miss it, and I want to go in and I want to play it. And then once I go in and I, start playing it again, I realize how heavy the game is. Like, it's just heavy, between space reputation traits, which also haven't been touched in forever. We haven't had a new reputation trait in ages. All these traits, all these things, it must not be easy being a new player into Star Trek Online. I can't imagine it being an easy endeavor.
Look, I think it's got easier. It certainly has got easier, and with those recruitment events bringing people in, you do get a good leg up, particularly if you have a temporal agent or a Delta recruit or whatever. So I think it has got easier, but yeah, it genuinely took me 6 months to figure out the game, and I am still finding out new things all the time, whether it's conversations with people in the chat, adding to the conversation. There's always something new I'm finding out, or whether it's just talking with Kat, and Kat will tell me amazing things. Try this, try this, try this. Or looking up through the Priority 1 Armada, looking at one of Winter's builds in order to get some advice. There's always something new to the game that I'm still learning all the time. And I've been playing for a while. So that in itself is something. It's a dense game. You're right. It is a really dense game.
Well, while we're on the topic of a dense and 10-year-old game, they still do their best to spice things up periodically. Most recently, you like that segue, right? That was a pretty good one. Most recently, ship artist and visual effects. Ship and FX, all right. Most recently, ship and effects artist Ian Richards decided to make an explosive change. The animation that occurs as your ship receives damage in the game has been updated, including the grand explosion that happens when your ship cannot take it anymore. It might seem like a small improvement, but boy, is it glorious.
I watched the before and after video, and the work that they have done on just adding to the damage that your ship takes, little explosions as things don't go well. It's not really until you see what came before and that comparison, look at how much work that they've done in improving it. You realize, oh, that explosion was kind of straightforward. It wasn't bad, but it was of its time, and the work that's gone into it really just makes it sing and adds to that extra level of realism, like these little moments where the ship's pieces slowly disintegrate as opposed to just vanishing off the screen. Fantastic. They look so good.
I remember ages ago we talked about the ship damage animation and how, like, oh, what if how cool would it be if, you had a hole right through your hull, right? Something started, something blasted through the center of your hull.
Mm-hmm.
And this is much closer to that. This really helps with the immersive experience of a Star Trek space battle. And coupled with the lighting upgrade that just, to this, still, it's been, 4 years since the lighting upgrade? Maybe 3 or 4 years. And it still impresses me in how they manage to facelift the game in this way, in this capacity. I mean, the final explosion where there's that ring that comes out and, it almost looks like a little mini black hole kind of thing. It was stunning. The lighting is stunning. The whole thing is just stunning. And I can't wait to actually see my ship. I'm going to go in and just explode my ship. I'm just going to go in and I'm going to go into a patrol. I'm not going to activate anything. I'll go into the Malon or something like that. One of the Malon patrols and let them blow me up.
Well, that wraps up gaming news this week. Now, let's open hailing frequencies and see what's incoming.
5210.
5210. 210. Done. Jason Smith says you can pause in demo record and change the camera angle without the blast disappearing. Cool. That is cool. I look forward, Jason, and also Zeph, to see your new explosions. And you hope. Yeah, well, that would be nice. I look forward to seeing some of your future videos and how you can capture that with demo record, with those extra details, because you all do excellent work. It is just so good. So good. So please keep it up. Keep it up.
All right.
Also, how you doing? Andy Apocalypse. Hey, from the UK.
What's up?
Welcome. Great to have you. We're just about to do feedback and closing, which sucks. But hey, you're here, and that is awesome.
Probably not doing anything till next year. What's going on, Zeph? Hit me up on Discord, homie. All right. Let's do feedback.
Closing, feedback.
Feedback and closing.
Fun.
5340. We'll say 5340.
5340.
Zeph just hit me up on Facebook, on Discord. Oh shit. I'm sorry. 5350. Let's do 5350. 3, 2. Well, captains, hailing frequencies are now open, and we're ready to receive all of your incoming messages.
This week we asked, which Star Trek character's holodeck costume would you wear to a Halloween party? Shall we just alternate?
Yeah. On Twitter, Captain BG2301 replied, man, I think I would either do Vix or Dixon Hill.
Via Facebook, Dave Rutley wrote, the only holodeck character Halloween costume I would conceivably pull off would be Vic Fontaine.
Well, I kind of want to ask some of the folks in our chat. Let's get you guys involved here.
Mm-hmm.
Feedback here. Stephen Best.
Okay.
Stephen Best also wrote on Facebook, I'd love to go with Saru, but I doubt I could survive the hoof boots. Damn. I'd love to go with Saru, but I doubt I could survive the hoof boots. How about you? How about you guys in the chat? What do you, if you could? And since we record this episode live on Tuesday nights in front of a live audience, we turn to them for their feedback as well. Matt Black says, Data's Sherlock Holmes.
And Andy Apocalypse says, one of the Borg when they went onto the holodeck.
Kel MG96, Quark with a Guinan hat.
Zeph Films says, the taxi driver who calls Kirk a dumbass. Well, double dumbass on you.
Well, we also asked which Star Trek actor would you like to eat lunch with, and what meal? Okay, now hold on. We also asked, just for fun, which Star Trek actor would you like to eat lunch with?
Before we do that, and Jamal Taylor says, Miles and Julian in their Spitfire pilot gear. That would be my go-to as well, Jamal. Something that Miles and Julian wore on the holodeck, possibly Battle of Thermopylae.
You two should arrange the next time you're in the States, Roscoe. Two of you should arrange how to...
Happy to do that.
To do a Miles and Julian. But that wraps up episode 529 of Priority One, a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast. However, there are more great shows available to you on the Roddenberry Podcast Network. Just visit podcasts.roddenberry.com for a complete list. Then be sure to subscribe to them all and share them with your friends.
But we can't forget to send a special thanks to some of our Patreon supporters like David K. Rutley, Peter Archibald, and Gerald Bosch.
Captains, it's important for us to... hold on. Captains, it's important to us that you get your voice heard and that you participate in the conversation. Leave us a comment or a voicemail on our website at Priority One Pod. Let me just take that shit from the top. Apparently today I cannot read and words are giving me shit. Captains, it's important to us that you get your voice heard, and we encourage you to participate in our conversations. Leave us a comment or a voicemail via our website at PriorityOnePodcast.com. You can also check us out on our Facebook page at Facebook.com/PriorityOnePodcast, or find us on Twitter and Instagram at PriorityOnePod.
And if you're still craving more, be sure to spend time with Winters, Anthony, Thomas, Gray, Kat, plus the rest of the Priority One Armada. Saturday nights, the Armada broadcasts live to review the latest news from Star Trek Online and the Armada community, including spotlighting some of the amazing members. With regular giveaways, there is something for all Star Trek Online players, whether you are new or a veteran. Follow us on all our social media accounts for broadcast times. If you'd like to join the Armada, visit PriorityOneArmada.com. And Elio, don't forget, this Saturday, the amazing gaming event that you and Kat are involved in as well.
That's right. I don't want to talk about it because I don't have anything prepared.
Cool.
Captains, this episode of Priority One is brought to you by our patrons through patreon.com. We understand that things are still a little tough right now and we're not really back to normal, but we are humbled by the continued... I said normaled? Normaled? Is that what I said?
Yeah, it's not back to normal.
I said normal.
That's how you can tell it's different. We're not back to normal.
We're not back to normal.
No.
This episode of Priority One is brought to you by our patrons through patreon.com. Captains, we understand that we're not quite back to normal yet, so we are humbled by the continued support of our patrons who find enough value in the content that we produce that they decide to contribute to this show. Find out more and how you can support the show by visiting PriorityOnePodcast.com/PriorityOne.
Zeph, were we ever normal, though?
No.
What is normal?
What is normal?
And don't forget to tune into Priority One Productions' Guard Frequency podcast at guardfrequency.com. Each episode, the Guard will take you inside the universe of your favorite space sims, including a tabletop adventure played out by your hosts. And Heroes Rise brings you up to date with the world of Dungeons and Dragons. Learn all about the latest publications, tools, tips, tricks, and traps in less time than it takes to skin a wyvern. Head over to heroesrisepodcast.com to discover their secrets.
Okay, now I have to figure out who's going to edit what so I can give them the right.
Mm-hmm. So what we've started doing, folks, is giving credit to all of our editors. So each segment has a different editor each week, and so we make sure to go through, and by we, I mean Elio, make sure to go through and mention each of them and the work that they're doing as really an extra thank you, because, again, they're volunteers. They volunteer their time and their talents, and we very much appreciate it. So if you can edit some audio, if that's a skill that you have and you'd like to help us out, then please get in touch. If you're, there's lots of ways in which people can help the podcast and help out. If you want to be a part of the team, then please jump in, send us an email, say hello, incoming@priorityonepodcast.com. Zeph, do you still do After Dark? We do After Hours. We do it on a Thursday night. Mm-hmm. Tony and Dr. Robert and occasionally Kat and myself turn up and talk shit, and it's very, very good. So that's available to our Patreon subscribers if you'd like to have a look. Yeah, After Dark is a different show. That's where Elio wears no pants.
Thanks to our audio editors. This week, intro and closing were edited by William. Check It Out by Alex. Gaming, Gray. Gaming by Gray. And On Screen by Roscoe. Thanks to our producer, Jake, and associate producers, Shane and Thomas. Together, they help us organize and write up our summary of the weekly headlines from the Star Trek multiverse. Thanks to our graphic artist, Alejandro, with support from Jason of the Priority One Armada. Thanks to our social media managers, Sarah and James. Thanks to our social media managers, Sarah and James. Thanks to the composer of our theme music, Chris Watts. But most importantly, a big thanks to you, the Star Trek community. Our listeners, because without your ongoing support, none of this would be possible.
Shields up, red alert. Oh, fuck, press a button.
Oh, fuck, press a button. Yeah, so we are doing, so After Hours is happening on Thursdays because I cannot stay up as late as I want to, because I have to take mass transit until my new car is delivered.
You see, Elio's just had another birthday, and he's another year older.
I'm another year older now.
Oh, the time, it's so late. Look at the time. I just can't stay up until this hour of the evening. I had dinner 4 to 5 hours ago, and my friend cut the meat for me because it's just too difficult, I'm afraid.
So,
God, I'm so tired.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah. So Saturday we're doing a live stream at 1 o'clock Eastern with Noah. He'll be joining us. We'll do a bit of an interview and play through of Star Trek Online with him for about an hour. So that's happening Saturday at 1. And, yeah, we look forward to that. So I'll be making an event on like Facebook and Twitter and all that jazz. So y'all can participate. It'll be recorded in case you miss it, and that's okay. But listen, I'm really excited. You guys were all really active today, and I'm thrilled that you joined us on Tuesday night.
Thank you so much.
Catch us live.
Great to chat with you all. Thank you, Zeph.
Absolutely.
Mate, hope you're good.
And
Jason, thank you. Everybody.
Listen,
Dave,
you
Andy
guys,
Apocalypse.
You guys are our best way to spread the word about the show. So, if we ever go live or when you download the podcast when it's out on Friday, do us a favor and give us not just a like, but share it. Make sure to hit that share button, grab the link, tell your friends that they can get a weekly roundup of Star Trek news right here on Priority One, a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast. Until next week, we are out of here, or until Saturday, we're out of here, and we'll be back next Tuesday for our next episode. Until then, have a good Halloween!
Enjoy.
Bye.